Hello and welcome to Indigo Swan Energy Report for the month of October. I'm James Groves, Managing Director of Indigo Swan, and this is Amy Konieczny, Commercial Director of Indigo Swan. Amy, here we are again.
Hi James.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
It has been a whirlwind in energy, so I can't wait to update you on it.
Here we go then. Let's start. Obvious question. Not that anyone out there doesn't know, but in your own words, what has been happening in the energy markets since we last updated these fine people?
Well, what hasn't been happening really, we've actually seen prices start to come down, which is incredible. They are still ridiculously high though. So we've got gas prices now at about 452 pence a therm versus 543 that it was last month.
Oh, improvement.
But 452 pence a therm is still about 160% higher than it was in 2021. So we're still not in a great place, but we are starting to see some prices ease. Part of that's because EU gas storage levels are now 88% full, and the EU was tasked with getting storage up to 85% full by November. So we actually had a plan.
A target we've hit.
Woohoo!
A target we've nailed.
Really, really good there. In terms of power prices, we're at about £467 per megawatt hour now, against £507 last month, and we're about 172% higher than last year. So everyone's really starting to feel the impact now on the bills that are coming through from contracts that have been negotiated at these really high levels. But there is kind of some end in sight, and we'll talk about it a bit more in a minute with the energy bill relief scheme. But overall, still feeling tough, but much better than it has been the last few months.
Before we get to the energy bill relief scheme, which everyone is here for, I'm sure, and our view on it. Nord Stream 1, what's happening there? Try to spell that. Who's been tampering?
Well,
who's been playing? Don't quote Indigo Swan on it.
I know.
What are we thinking?
So what happened at the beginning of September was another period of maintenance where the system was taken offline for another few days for some various checks and things. And what happened then was we were told that there were issues found. So it never really returned from maintenance. So pipeline has been shut down now for quite a few weeks. And then I think, I haven't got the date written down, but mid-September, sabotage.
Sabotage.
Someone has blown up, essentially, Nord Stream 1, the main pipeline from Russia into Europe. There is a lot of uncertainty as to who
we would not like to speculate
responsible.
Too much, would we?
No, we wouldn't. But actually, all that means is that we definitely won't be getting gas from Russia anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we already knew we weren't,
Yeah.
because the pipeline was already switched off, but now we definitely are.
Which in a way makes it a bit better.
Makes it easier to plan.
We can at least plan and know, rather than go, will we get some tomorrow?
Yeah, so we've actually got some extra shipments coming through from LNG as well. So we've had more lockdowns in China, which has meant that LNG shipments destined for the Far East are actually coming into European markets, so that's been pretty good. The LNG facility in Freeport in the States that caught on fire, as you may remember, back in June, that's due back online in November. And I read in this morning's report from our head of know-how, Lee, that rough gas storage is actually being tested for injection. So it may be that we actually get rough gas back as a storage facility in the UK. So
This would be very helpful as well.
Be hugely helpful. I think that's what's kind of weighing on the markets and bringing prices down a little bit.
And obviously we then go to the energy bill relief scheme, which is positive. Good news in the marketplace. Support for businesses finally, which is lovely to see, albeit for 6 months. Yes. But what's our view on that? What is it? Can you explain it for those people out there that still don't really get it?
Yeah, so there's 2 schemes that the government has introduced. What they've said is that they are going to protect householders. So what you and I are paying if we're out of contract at the moment, we're going to be protected at an average price cap level of £2,500. That's going to last for 2 years now, actually, which is
really
good thing. Yeah, really good. And then for businesses, recognising that they are also struggling in this really, really tough time, 2 things are happening there. So if you are in a contract that starts and you have consumption between the 1st of October 22 and the 31st of March 23, and your contract was signed on or after the 1st of April 22, you will benefit from what is essentially a wholesale price discount. So the wholesale part of your bill will be reduced down to 21 pence for electricity and 7.5 pence for gas, and that will be credited back to suppliers by the government. So your bill will show whatever you've signed your contract at, and then it will be credited back as a rebate line. In addition to the wholesale costs, you've got to pay for transmission, distribution, renewables costs, and any fees that you're paying for third-party support, like to your broker.
Which is still a high percentage.
Yeah, which is you know, you're probably looking at somewhere between about 10, 15 pence, depending where you are in the UK. So the overall message is it's positive, but even if you're looking at a delivered price of anywhere between 35 and 40 pence,
it is positive.
It's positive. However, if you're coming out of a contract that you're paying 12p, you're still having to find so much more money than you were last time. So it's good news, but yeah, it's still a really tough time for business.
And obviously, there's people out there probably thinking of having a look at it in 3 months' time. You're going to be looking at vulnerable businesses. Can you just talk a little bit about the vulnerable business and what our understanding is at this moment in time and what a vulnerable business is?
Yep. So the support scheme is going to last for 6 months. There's going to be a review in January. For the most part, vulnerable businesses, some chat has been around, is it going to include hospitality, is it going to be charities, public sector, schools, etc. And all of those industries do need a lot of support. But then every business is struggling at the moment, so it's going to be really tough for the government to draw a line to say who is vulnerable and who gets support. So what we're advising customers is to get into contract, to take the maximum benefit from the scheme, because there is another side of the energy bill relief scheme where the government will discount out of contract costs by a certain maximum discount. And that has been confirmed at 34 pence for electricity and 9.1 pence for gas. And that's a little bit lower than they had previously published, but until bills start being produced, we don't really know.
But it gives clients certainty, doesn't it? An element of certainty, and do I sign, don't I sign? We're obviously saying sign because you're going to benefit more from the scheme.
Yeah, the scheme, if you sign a contract and you're in a contract, then you are going to be paying less than if you were to go out of contract, which is not the trend that we've seen over the last 12 months or so. So it is a good thing, but yeah, businesses are still really struggling.
Last question for me, obviously, get yourself signed, do 6 months. What are we telling people to do after that? What are we saying after that initial 6 months? What are we suggesting at this moment in time?
So, there is not much liquidity in the market, and I know we've spoken about this in previous catch-ups. And what that means is that suppliers don't really know how to build their contract prices because there isn't enough trading happening. So what we're saying is get your 6 months sorted so that you know what your protection is under the scheme, and then look straight away at either another 6 months or possibly a 12 months to see what's happening and to see where your new prices could be. There is no need to rush into that decision. If you are classed as a vulnerable industry, you're likely to be protected by the ongoing scheme anyway, so there's less of a risk about signing early. But it's that old thing of if you sign ahead of time, you at least know what you're entering into, and you at least know how to plan and budget. If you leave it until last minute, we just don't know what's going to happen. So plan early, get on top of things, get things sorted, and then you can make sure your business is healthy. Amy,
amazing as always. Anyway guys, hopefully you all found that useful. If you'd like to find out more or you don't currently work with Indigo Swan, then do ping us an email at hello@indigoswan.co.uk. Alternatively, if you are a customer, thank you, and please reach out to your account manager. But thanks for joining us this month. I've been James, this has been Amy.